Hey guys, and welcome to a very exciting range test between the new facelifted 2025 Xpeng G9 all-wheel drive performance and also the quite new Zeekr 7X Privilege all-wheel drive. And these two cars are so closely matched when it comes to the sizes, the specs, and the charging speeds, as well as the WLTP rated range, where this car gets 540 kilometers and this 543. And also here in Norway, they are so closely priced that this is actually 80 euros cheaper than this, or 1,000 kroners, which is amazing spec for specs. So I don't think there are two cars that are more similar to put through today's range test. So we're going to take these out on the road. I'm going to talk a little bit about the driving impressions, and then we're going to find out how far and which can go the furthest on a full charge of battery. Just quickly guys, before we set off with this range test, I want to ask you one small favor, which is completely free and takes you only 2 seconds, and that is subscribing to the channel. It really means a lot for me if you guys would, because the car manufacturers, when they invite me to launches and to events, I sometimes have to fight with them because they think we don't have enough subscribers here to be prioritized in front of other media outlets here in Norway. So I really want to try to grow this channel to get to 60,000 subscribers before the end of the year, because for you it would mean more and better and earlier content, and for me I would be able to make it for you guys. So it is a win-win. So if you appreciate what I do here, if you want more of it, and if you want to support me, hit that subscribe button down below. Thank you very much. As per usual, we will start at the Circle K station in Dal, then drive north on the E6 motorway to Moelv. That will be our halfway point, and we will head back to start. The route is 194 kilometers, and this is an ABA test with time control. That means the actual average speed is carefully controlled for, and changes in elevation and wind should be cancelled out close to 100%. The G9 is run in eco mode, but the 7X doesn't have such a setting, so it is put in its low suspension height to make it as fair as possible. All the stats, numbers and variables will be in the chart at the end of the video. I'm starting this test driving the G9, and halfway through this trip we will change up cars, so both drivers have equal seat time in both cars, meaning that driving style shouldn't make any difference today. But either way, we're driving both cars using the adaptive cruise control auto steer functionality, so even if I had more time in one than the other, it should be the exact same. And also the car I'm driving will always be the lead car in free air, with the second car following behind on adaptive cruise control. So both cars equal amounts of time in free air and equal amounts of time following. So with all of that being said, at 120 kilometers an hour, which is the speed we're going now, this is a very quiet car. Very little tire noise, very little wind noise. It is a comfortable car being on air suspension, though there's a little bit more chatter from the road surface than what I'm used to in cars with air suspension. Maybe the Zeekr is better. I'll talk about that when I get into that car. But this is a comfortable car either way. And this being optioned with the DIN audio sound system, it is an amazing sound system. It is awesome with the tweeters that pop up from the dashboard. So just overall, this is a quiet and comfortable cruiser, and so far I'm impressed. And also, one thing that impresses me is the ADAS, the auto steer functionality, the driver assistance systems in this car. It is quite reliable and it doesn't get confused a lot. There was a little bit confused with the off ramp there, but that's the first time that's happened now in a few days. It doesn't ping pong in between the lines. It follows the car in front quite nicely, and it's just easy to use. This also has auto lane change. Nice graphics here on the screen. It shows you where the car is going to change lanes into, and it cancels the stock for you there. And then if you want to go back, you just have to have your hand on the steering wheel, and it works perfectly fine. So let's call up Sindre in the 7X and hear how it's going.
Hello.
Hello, hello. How's it going in the 7X, Sindre?
It's going good. It's really comfortable car.
Do you like driving it?
Yeah. It's good response from the steering wheel. It's good suspension. Really good seat. I enjoy myself.
Is there anything you don't like?
Well, there's a lot of playing things and dongs when it goes over the limit, or if you are doing some lane changes. But when you turn them off, it's way better.
Yeah, I think we just forgot to turn them off. Yeah, that's typical of every car sold in the EU after June 2024. So that's part of a mandate called GSR2. But okay, you want to give us your average consumption after 60 kilometers and 35 minutes on the road?
Yeah, it's 25.7.
25.7. So I'm currently at 26.4. So yours is a little bit lower. That is very, very interesting. Okay. So thank you for the update, and I'll talk to you later, okay? Bye-bye. I've now hopped in the 7X, and one thing that is quite apparent right away is that the tire noise in this car is quite a bit louder than the G9, especially over coarse surfaces like we have on this road here in the right lane. It has to be said, here in Northern Europe, we do have in general harsher and more coarse asphalt than further down on the continent, because it has to withstand our cold winters and harsh conditions, especially here in eastern Norway. And the difference in tire noise may not be something you're going to notice in other markets. And also, one thing that I think also is a factor here is the different wheels and tires. So that G9 is on Nokian Hakkapeliitta R5 winter tires, which has a technology called silent drive. So there's actually a silencing foam within the tire that makes them very, very quiet. Nokian is a sponsor here on the channel, but I'm not paid to say this. I just wanted to mention it because I've noticed it after getting Nokians on my car, that from the old tires I had, it was actually a quite bit quieter. And also the other cars we've driven recently here on the channel, the cars with the Nokian R5 studless winter tires are often the tires that is, at least subjectively, experienced to be the quietest compound. So that's just something to consider. And one thing that goes towards my point is that these, when it comes to wind noise, they are pretty much the same. So it's not down to the wind noise. And also on the nicer part, like here in the left lane, which is less worn, I think this is almost as quiet as that G9. So it's really over that bad asphalt. So I think that silencing technology, that silencing foam really works, especially here in Northern Europe. And also one thing, the G9 is actually on 21-inch wheels with lower profile tires than this on 20-inch wheels. So both of these are press cars provided by the respective manufacturers, and we have very little control over the cars we get. I told them I was going to do a comparison video, so they should, then give us the best spec possible for getting the most range. But these cars are just spec'd a little bit differently, but I was hoping that in winter that both cars would be spec'd with 21-inch wheels, or 20-inch wheels is rather what I was hoping. So this is, but the G9 isn't. But with that being said, this also is on air suspension, and I think it's just a little bit more supple and compliant than that G9. There's just a refinement to the suspension that is lacking in that G9. Though the G9 is very comfortable, this is just that next level. And that, in combination with these seats that are as supportive but so much more comfortable, there's something about the cushioning that is super soft, just makes this a very nice ride on the motorway. And also the seating position is better, the steering wheel is just nicer in the hand. It's just overall a nicer experience to pilot down a stretch road at 120 kilometers an hour. Also, steering feel is more direct, as Sindre said. There's more communication from the road, where that G9 just feels a little bit weird, especially under load. But that G9 doesn't have that weird weighting on center as the G6 has. So that seems to be a G6 only problem. If you want to, understand more in detail what I'm talking about there, go check out our triple comparison video between the G6, the Skoda Enyaq, and the Model Y. So let's call up Sindre and let's ask him what the consumption is in that G9.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going good. Not complaining.
So how do you like the Xpeng G9 to drive?
It's actually not that bad, but you can definitely feel some difference between this one and the Zeekr for sure.
Okay.
But the seats I feel like the seats are not that comfortable compared to the Zeekr, and I get more response from the steering wheel in the Zeekr compared to this one.
Yeah, I agree. So what's your consumption now after 140 kilometers?
It's 26.5.
Okay, I'm at 25.5. So now there is maybe a more defined difference. That is interesting. So this is maybe the more efficient of the two, but we don't know for sure until we get back to where we started. Okay, thank you for the update, Sindre, and I'll talk to you a little bit later, okay? Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
This 7X has some of the strange oddities and frustrations and issues I've experienced in the 001. It has to do with the activation, and it is slow. For example, if I cancel it now and then I activate it, it takes like a full second or second and a half, which is really annoying. And when you're driving the car in one pedal mode, you lurch forward before it engages. And also when it is doing lane centering, so let's do that, double tap on that. Now it's doing lane centering. If I want to change lanes, let's see if we can get past this Volvo here, and I just have a little bit of steering angle, it's like it's snapping the steering out of my hands. And then sometimes when it engages, if it wants to engage, yeah, it snaps and tugs much more than in the G9. No issue at all in that G9 doing what this does. So that is super quick to respond, and also it doesn't lock it in the lane like you feel like you're having to struggle with the car. And it has to do with that delay where the system is delayed to engage and to disengage. It's just not that natural feeling. So not the best, but much better than in the Zeekr 001 I drove earlier this year, because that was quite terrible. Also, one last thing, the Zeekr sound branded sound system in this car is freaking awesome. I think it's better than the Dyn Audio in the G9. There's just more power here, more dynamic range, and just especially in the mid-tones, it's just so much more colorful and much more music. Okay guys, we are now back here, and let's connect the Xpeng first. So let's do a charge here and put the connector into the car. Okay. So these are 400 kilowatt chargers, and this car should be able to take 525 kilowatts. The Zeekr should be able to take 480, but there are no faster chargers in this area, and this is where I do all of my range tests. We start here, we go on the route where we went, and we come back. So if you come over here, Sindre, you can put the camera to the screen there, and we can see what charge speed we're going to get now. So the thing is that in this test, we do not precondition the battery. And the reason we don't precondition the battery is because this test is all about getting that maximum efficiency. So we're getting 200, 215. I mean, it is ramping up quickly. 240, just go over there. Still, you got to film, because this may actually get close or not to topping out that charger. So 234 at 26% state of charge, 235. Okay, so it doesn't seem like we're going to get more than that, and that is because we have a cold battery. Today's been between 2 and 5 degrees Celsius, and as I said, we do not precondition, because it's all about getting the maximum efficiency, and we don't want to use any energy to heat up the battery and then skew the results. So I'm going to do a different test called the long trip test. Hopefully I'm going to be able to do that with both of these two cars later this week. Not at the same time though, because I only have help from Sindre today. But yeah, 239. So we're going to go connect the Zeekr and let's see if we're going to get any more charge speed with this car. So again, let's choose here, start the charging. And does it want to open? Ah, there we go. So both of these do have, you know, electric charge ports. But the thing with the Zeekr, no, the Xpeng, is that I wasn't able to open it from the outside. I had to open up from the inside. So if you come closer here, Sindre, we can start the charging session here. There's a little bit more room on this side. And these are nice, these chargers, because they have, they're quite new. So we have, you know, the card readers here. And these are actually reserved for trucks. So these are for trucks. That's why these bays are as big as they are. You've probably seen us filming here before. And if there's a truck here, they have actually priority. But this whole new site has been expanded. So we had, you know, 12 Ionity chargers here, which we've had. Okay, so this didn't want to start. No, okay, it's just very, very slow. Okay, there we can hear the clicking. So this is a lot slower than the other car to initialize. I've filmed in this location for years. They've had these 12 chargers from Ionity, but now they have like 12 of these 400 kilowatt Alpitronics cabinets from for Circle K also. So let's see. There we go. Okay, so 29% stated charge, 240 kilowatts right away. No ramping up, but throttling right away. Okay, that is interesting. Okay, so we're at a higher stated charge here, but still 209 kilowatts. That's it? Okay. Well, let's go over to the Xpeng again. Let's take a look if we have any more charge speed over here. Yeah, okay, so it's going a little bit faster, 266 kilowatts. 270, so this is actually ramping up, and that is actually quite insane, that charge speed at almost 40% stated charge with a cold, non-preconditioned battery, and when it is like 3-4 degrees Celsius ambient right now. Okay guys, we're now here at the end of the video. We've done the range test, we've done the charging test, and what a charging beast the G9 is. But this also no slouch, 480 kilowatts peak charge speed, 525. But we saw now that this got an insane almost 300 kilowatts at 60%. That is totally insane. But Sindre, you've now driven both cars. Is there one you prefer over the other? And if so, which do you prefer and why?
Yeah, the one I actually do prefer is the Zeekr. I feel like it's more comfortable driving. I feel like the responsive of the steering wheel is better compared to the G9. And I also feel like the seats, you're actually sitting inside the seat compared to the G9 where you feel like you're sitting on the top of the seats.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a good description. This much better seating position, and also the steering feel, the steering weight, especially at low speeds, is so much more natural. It just feels like a more cohesive and a more refined product. Though this is very good. The steering at low speed is very weirdly weighted in this car, especially under load. But going on the motorway, I didn't notice nearly as much of that. So on the motorway, I think there's not that much difference as there is at lower speeds. And this, in my opinion, is quite a bit quieter when it comes to tire noise. So for longer trips, it's really close for me too, but I still think I prefer the 7X, but this charges faster. But okay, let's take a look at the results today. So the way we do this is we take the usable battery capacities of these cars, we divide it by the consumption, and then we subtract 3% for heat and discharging losses, as we do in every range test, to get the actual range under today's conditions. So The Zeekr has a usable battery capacity that is 94 kilowatt hours. This is 92.2 kilowatt hours. And this had an average consumption of 25.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And this at 26.2. So when we do the maths, this loses or comes to second place and has a range of 341 kilometers under today's pretty cold conditions. And this 360 kilometers. So not a huge difference, and they are closer than I thought they were going to be, because I thought this was maybe going to be even more efficient, and that in combination with a smaller battery, the difference was going to be bigger, but it isn't. So I think both cars are very good, getting this range cold today between 2 and 5 degrees Celsius, and it's been, you know, greasy out there. It's not been dry. Going 120 kilometers an hour under these conditions in the real world, I think that is actually decent range for both of these two cars. But the big question I want to ask you is, would you go for the little bit more efficient Zeekr, which is going to give you that 5% extra range, or would you go for this with the insane charge speeds? Let me know in the comment section down below. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.